Hey, Sharice Mwangi here with a word of encouragement. And also, too, I just want to just tell you, sometimes we learn the word of God by our own situations. And today, my situation was hot. And when I say hot, it is hot and chocolatey. Well, so today's my son's birthday and I'm making cake. I personally do not like chocolate cake, so therefore I don't have a chocolate cake recipe on my mind. And I bake. I bake breads, cookies, pies, cakes, you name it. I love to bake. And I have them in my database, in my mind. But chocolate cake, so today I looked for a recipe and I found one and the cake looked really delicious. So I'm reading down the instructions. I read down the ingredients. I can do this, right? So as I read down the instructions, I'm mixing and reading at the same time. But then I get to this part where it says add a cup of boiling water. And I was like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. So I opted to not add the boiling water. I added a cup of regular cold water. So it didn't come out right. In fact, the cake went flat and it actually bloomed up, spilled out. Now my cake house smells like burnt chocolate cake. And now I have to start over and I probably lost a good portion of money because the cake was pretty expensive to make. But you're wondering what this has to do with the word. Let me take you there. Luke 11, verses 27 and 28. And it says, he was speaking, and a woman in the crowd called out, God bless your mother and the womb from which you came and the breast that nursed you. And Jesus replied, but even more blessed are all who hear the word of God and put it into practice. Literally, what happened today was an example of what happens when you read the word of God but don't apply it to your life. I had the perfect recipe from A to Z, every instruction how to put it together and what the results would be like. Like I had the answer. I had the recipe, I had the answer, and all I had to do was put it into practice. But oh no, that boiling water thing, it didn't seem right to me. It didn't seem like that was something that I was willing to do because, I mean, I'm a chef by trade. So for some reason, it just wasn't clicking in my brain this morning. So I opted to do another version of that cake. Well, that was an epic fail. Now I have to ask myself, how many times have I read the word? And the word was so good and it was applied to my life, but only to the extent of when that didn't fit what I wanted to do or when it didn't seem right, so maybe I shouldn't do that. Or if I say, oh, well, maybe I'll try another avenue because this one might be better. How many times as a believer have we done that? Listen here, reading the word, soaking it in, following it line by line, and then applying it wholly to our life is what makes the perfect cake, so to speak. Well, now, like many of us, I didn't use the recipe properly, so now I have to throw all of it over and go right back to the beginning and start over. Now, what did it cost me? It cost me a chunk of money because those ingredients were fine ingredients because I'm not going to give my son a cheap cake. I'm going to give him a good, delicious cake. So I use prime ingredients, all of it in the trash. Now I have to take my car, go back to the store, buy all those ingredients again, and start over and trust God this time around that it'll come out right. So all I'm encouraging you today is just remember the Word of God is our instruction, our recipe for life. And because it is our recipe for life, we don't get the option to look at the boiling water and say, this doesn't fit. We can only say, add the boiling water, stir it in, and let's see what God is going to do with it. I want you to be encouraged. Know that you are loved and that God has called you to greater. God bless you. Be encouraged.